Good evening, everybody. My name is Mason Sims, and welcome to another edition of our show. Joining us this evening is Miss Kelly Long. She is the County Council elect for District 18 of Greenville County, which covers like Greer and areas of Taylor's. And she's going to be sharing with us her plans for next year when she is sworn in. And also, we'll discuss the MAGA movement that's been spreading across our state, and also what reorg will look like after the inauguration day next January. So again, my name is Mason Sims, and let's get started. Well, good evening, everybody. Here with me today, I have District 18 elect from Greenville County, Ms. Kelly Long. And District 18 covers the Greer and parts of Taylor's area. And Kelly, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Mason, for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I'm with the MAGA movement making a lot of moving the heavyweight over into the upstate and other parts of the state. It's definitely been a hot topic. And in addition to Greenville County and other surrounding counties, there's been a lot of seats that have been flipped. So, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. And was it an incumbent that you had defeated for county council?
Yes, it was an incumbent. He was local just like I am his whole life here, and he had been in for around 12 years, and I was able to come on as a newcomer and just work hard, and the people really wanted a change because they were tired of the tax increases. That's why I ran, and that's why I got elected too. So it worked out pretty good.
It's good. And how years was that incumbent in there?
3 terms.
Okay.
He was in that 3 terms for 4 years. So, yep.
Yeah, that's definitely that's been something that's happened in Pickens County too with the millage increase. That's upset a lot of residents. It sounds to me that the similar things going on in Greenville County.
Yeah, I just think there's a push for it's just like I've been calling it a cash grab. I don't know what you want to call it, but ever since COVID hit, there's been all these federal funds available that we've never had before, and people have gotten used to having that influx of cash and using it not always for COVID things, and they don't want that to end. And they want to grow and develop and do all these things, which is fine as long as you do it the right way. But taxing people that are having a hard time because of inflation and other things isn't quite the way to go. So I think a lot of people got voted out because of that one thing. And honestly, it should have happened regardless of who's running. If you don't listen to the people, you can't serve them. So that's just kind of what's happened.
Right, and I feel like that's what's happening this past county council uh, election for here in Pickens County too. Is that they feel like they've lost touch. Disaster was a lot of surprises. There's 2 incumbents. I didn't think they thought they were going to lose like they did, but it was definitely by a significant margin. Incumbent where I live, and he narrowly escaped with his victory. So yeah, that's definitely. I feel like the word's definitely getting out across the board.
I do too. And in Greenville County, it was 4 seats that were flipped. And what was really amazing, I thought about it. I didn't know when I decided to run. I didn't talk to anybody on council about it. It really didn't have anything to do with anybody on council. It had to do with me just feeling led to run. And then I announced pretty quickly, and then immediately there was, the others came in, and we were all business people. None of us had ever served in a public position like this. We'd never been in politics, but we were active in our communities and outspoken about things, and we vote, things like that, but never ran. But we all just kind of got fed up with what was going on in our district and felt like nobody was listening to us and or to anybody else for that matter. So we all just kind of came in at the same time, and we all have the same values, and it's really amazing how that's happened.
Right. One thing I was going to mention to you too was the library board. That's definitely been a hot topic within our state. And is there certain
Yeah.
plans like say the library board do during your first term as county council? One.
I have not been active with the library board. I will tell you, I've followed some of what's going on. And, I have my kids are grown and I have grandkids now, but all of my grandkids are homeschooled. So I'm not affected by what the library board per se is doing. So that's probably part of the reason I don't know what's going on, because it doesn't affect my grandchildren. But I will tell you, I've listened to it, and I just feel like the library board, we need to have more parents active there. And being on county council, I'll be more active in that. And we've had some great people to go on, and we've got some good people there, but it's just like county council was when I ran. Unfortunately, they don't have the majority, and they're getting voted down every turn. So we've just got to get the parents more active, the issues out there, and get more good conservative people to run that are going to put the parents and the children first. And so I will definitely be active in that moving forward when I get sworn in January.
And who's the person that holds the seat within your district for library board?
The person that holds the seat in my district is Carolyn Stiles.
Okay. Has she been doing it a long time?
She's been doing it, I think, several terms. I haven't really kept up with her terms, but I do know that she has voted a lot for the tax increases and, did this last time. So I have a lot of people in my district that don't like that. And so when you have somebody that says, I'm a Republican and voting for every tax hike that comes down, that's because it doesn't seem like they're really Republicans. They're more on the Democrat side. But I think you are how you vote. So that makes sense. So I actually, in this last election, I did not support Carolyn. I voted for Lisa Bracewell because I think she was more conservative for our area. She had served on some boards, and unfortunately, in the middle of running, she had a health event. It kind of took her out for a while, and I still voted for her. She came back, but when you miss campaigning time, it's really hard to make that up. But unfortunately, she did not win, and I hope she will run again.
That'd be great. One thing that's been on here, there is pornographic material within the children's section. And
Yes.
mother, she was in the central library over in the Pickens County area, and there's several parents that came up to the came to the front desk and says, "Hey, this book contains obscene material. Why are you putting this in the child section?" I guess the parent was on what the book contained.
Right.
Out. People are really getting
Wow.
frustrated.
Yeah, there's no ever a reason that we should be putting pornographic anything in the child's view. And honestly, if the parents are caught doing that, their child will be taken away from them, correct?
Right. Yeah, that would well, yeah, they wanted to make it to where the child does not have access to the book, but if it happens to be in the adult section, then at that point it would be up to the parent whether the kid could check out the book or the kid would be able to have access to the book or not. But what we're Pickens County just to completely remove any books that contain that type of material within the children's section.
Right. I'm glad they removed it from the children's section. I think it needs to be removed completely, is my opinion on that, just because there's no place for that at the library. That's not the place.
Right. Yeah, and just the way that children behave in my classes, I've been teaching for about 3 years now, and just some of the things that they know at their age, I'm thinking, how on earth do they know this at age 12 or age 13?
Exactly. And you have to, when I brought my children up, I have 2 boys. They're 28 and 33. It's a long time ago. And I watched what they watched. I didn't let them watch anything bad, but even in those days, bad was nothing compared to today. So you really have to be monitoring everything they watch, because a lot of stuff's actually hidden. So you have to do your homework.
You certainly do. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to put it in the hands of the parents. That way, we're protecting our youth as much as we can. At least from
That's right.
And the other thing, as we've kind of gotten into this already, is like, what are some of your plans that you would like to, or what are some of your plans for when your first term in office? Some things you'd like to accomplish.
Well, there's a lot to do. I would like to see us institute impact fees as one way of, not raising taxes, but yet making builders pay their way as far as infrastructure, because as you know, the roads in Graham County are in great need of being fixed, and I did not support or vote for the sales tax, the penny sales tax increase. I just believe we need to be more fiscally responsible for our money, and I think that there's another way to do that. So, I would like to see part of that resolution be that we start charging the people that are making the money on the development, because that's what's causing the deterioration of our roads in many cases, and also the traffic congestion. So I like to see impact fees take instead of sales tax increases, and instead of other types of taxes that we have. I just like to see the person that's getting the benefit from the money pay their way.
That'd be great. Yeah, and that's definitely one thing that I've learned from a county councilman here in Pickens that votes pretty conservatively. He would say, tax increases, I mean, that's usually the only option you have, but that should be the last option, or that should be the last resort, not the first option. So you should try to use, let's say, grants or anything else you can before that you would, you elect to increase taxes.
That's right. It should be the last option, because most of the time it's a permanent option, and it permanently impacts the people in your district when you do a tax increase. Seldom those taxes ever come down. They always go up, and it affects those that really hurts the most. That's who it affects the most. Your senior citizens, your elderly, or your young people trying to get a start in life. Typically your middle-aged people are in their highest earning years, and are hopefully doing the right things and get out of debt. So it doesn't impact them as much, although it does impact them, but it really seems to hurt the people that need the most help by doing that. So I don't like to see an increase in taxes ever, if it can at all be possible and help.
Right. Like, for instance, Donald Trump when he starts his next term in 2025, I'm just kind of curious what he'll be able to do, because we're going to have to eventually reduce spending, the amount of money that people are spending to keep up with inflation. And
Right.
I have a feeling that he might have to increase taxes in order for that to happen. So I'm curious to see if they'll be able to do grants or other ways of doing that before having to raise taxes.
Right, right. And another thing I really want to do is, and I ran on several things, and one of the things was I feel like we need an audit to let us know where our money has been going, and just to see if it makes sense where it's been going. It's mentioned while I was running for office that we had a $12 million budget for roads, and some of the years only 5 was used for the roads. So where did the other 7 go? And then some of the years 7 or more was used, but where did the rest go? Those type things. So I think when we have something budgeted for roads or police department, or whatever the budget is for, it should stay there. It shouldn't go somewhere else. And then if it happens to not be used, and it stays in the general fund, and then it's there to be reallocated next year, or just to be put back as the same in the budget. So I don't believe in punishing a division that didn't use all of their budget and take it away from them just because one year they were good and didn't spend it all. That makes sense. So I think there's some years you need more than others. So, but I think you have to make sure that what you're doing on the current money that you have is correct, and then look at, say, is there areas we could save in, and how would we save? And then, that might help us and keep us from having tax increases if we look at those things. So an audit's definitely something we need to do.
Right. And you may have mentioned this already. As far as the COVID relief package that was probably given to the Greenville County Council, is there still money left over from that?
I have not heard it mentioned that there is. My guess is that there's probably not, because there's not really any ongoing things, I wouldn't think at this point, that you could use the quote unquote COVID money for, because we're out from under all of that issue as far as I'm concerned. You don't ever hear anything about it except maybe, somebody's got COVID or something, but it's not something that is threatening industry, and it's not threatening lives like it was in the beginning. And so I would think that the COVID money has been spent, and if there is some lingering, and it's not going to be like it was early on, where it was just all kinds of grants and things because people couldn't come in to work. They couldn't be around people, and so we just don't have that here anymore, and I'm thankful that we don't.
Yeah, and to my understanding, at least when I last saw it from Pickens County, that there was one councilman say to one of the most fairly conservatively, he said that there was still money left over in the COVID relief fund to use towards an EMS station. So I am curious if they'll be able to do that, or if that money has already been spent, because that was several months ago when I saw that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It really is, and there was so much money that just came available. I know there was some need for it, but it almost my opinion on it is there was so much available that it almost made us lazy and not want to come to work anymore, if that makes sense. And I'm saying that generically, because a lot of people do work from home, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of people that got sent home and now they don't want to come back. So it's affected our local business economy and some other things. But I think sometimes when all that kind of money becomes available and you get used to it, it's kind of hard to wean back from that because you're thinking maybe this can last forever, but it hasn't and it won't. And so that's why I think there's a demand for more tax money, because when you get used to spending money, you want to spend money. That's just how it is.
Right. I know people at next feelings about Henry Master. I remember he was on Tucker Carlson a few years ago, and South Carolina was one of the first states to discontinue the COVID unemployment benefits.
Right.
McMaster was saying, it's almost like socialism, essentially.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
have government to keep coming. Eventually, that's kind of what it leads to.
Yeah. I totally agree with that, because if you pay somebody and tell them they can sit at home and they're going to get paid more to stay at home than they are going to be to work in their job, they're usually going to do that. Now, there's some people that won't, because they want their job and they love their job, and what their job does means something to them. But a lot of people don't care anything about their job. It's just about the money. So it does promote, hey, I'm going to do this and bump work. Who cares what happens at work? But, we don't want to. That's the most horrible mindset to get into, because it's like an attitude of, I don't care about people. I don't care about what happens to my community. I don't care about my job. I don't care about anything. And you don't want to ever let yourself go to that place.
Right. Yeah, and I wasn't really ecstatic when people were like, including myself, were getting stimulus money. So, I feel like we're going to be paying for this later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and either taxes are going to increase or inflation is going to rise.
Yeah, it was a very different time for our, not just our state, not just our county, but for our country, that we all went through that. And it's been hard to come out of, quite honestly. And I don't know, I can't help but think that if we got this money for COVID and we spent it very wisely, that we wouldn't be in a position to have to be raising taxes if we did the right things with it. If we're just using it to promote growth, wide open density, and all those things, as much as we can do it, and that will always be, that will always feed itself and make you want to raise taxes, if that's what your hot button is economic development growth at all costs. There has to be a balance. So I don't know. I've lived here my whole life. I'm fine with having people come here, but I don't want our community to change. And the reason they come here because it's awesome. So that doesn't need to change. So and the quality of life and the cost, they came here because of that. So if we become like where they left, we're not really ourselves anymore.
Right. I'm sure you've probably seen many Northerners and people from like out west, like Californians. They'll once they retire, they move to Florida, and then they realize, that hey, it's summer all year long, and the property taxes are high, and then they come up the line and they think, because seasons and cost of living.
Right. Yes, that's true. And the safety thing too, Florida's had a lot of influx there, so it's not the community it once was, and I don't want our state to be that way, or our county, or our country for that matter. I want us to remain free and do things we want to do and feel safe.
Definitely. Yeah. It's all right with growth. Yeah, like you said, you need to make sure you have a good plan in place to be able to control it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I'm about growth. I really am, but I think it has to make sense, and it has to be a triple win, not just a win for the county and taxes, and not just a win for the builder, but it's got to make sense for the people. It's got to be controlled where they're not losing their quality of life either, because guess who's footing the bill? They are.
Right.
So it has to be a triple win or it's not a win at all. And that's the whole thing. It has to be controlled. It has to make sense for the area. But I think we've got focused on a 2-dimensional win when we need a 3-dimensional win. And if you carry the people with you and they buy into it because you're protecting what they love, the beauty of the area they're in, then they're going to be happy. And as the builder's paying the impact fees and we're not getting taxed to death, people will be more likely to buy into that and be okay with it. But it's got to be that triple win.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually running a little bit low on battery, but I did want to make sure I did get this one question in. So with the MAGA movement seemed to be headed in a direction, at least within the upstate, with, like county and city council, school board seats being flipped.
Right.
So what do you anticipate the reorg being like next year after Trump's inauguration?
In my mind, I think that it's going to be a really good thing for our reorg. I think last time we went through reorg here at Greenville County, it was a little bit difficult. We had some issues, but at the same time, we had a lot of people interested in that came into, and got active in their local precincts. And I think it's going to be even more so this time, because I think after coming back from where we were and getting Trump back in office, we've got some hope now. And I think people are now politically awake, where a lot were not. So I think it's going to drive some people to get more involved. And I hope it does. And I'm going to try to do my part to encourage everybody to be more active, because the local precincts and the local areas and county and city is what affects people everyday life, in their everyday life. And that is where, if they let their local area go and it becomes something that they're not happy with, well, that's what affects their everyday life. So that's where they need to be the most active. So they need to know what's going on in their community, and if something's coming here and they're not happy with it, they need to speak up and they need to inform their neighbors. And we just need to be more aware of what's going on. And hopefully the last 2 years is let us know that we have to stay aware or we can lose this country. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm sure he probably too. When I was out canvassing, I mean, certainly not everybody, but a lot of people I came up to when I mentioned who I was running against, they're like, "Huh? Who's that?" Or they just don't really seem to follow local issues like county, city council.
Right. Well, I hope, I know I have to be honest here and say I got active in the last reorg, and I became president of my precinct, and I did go to a lot of meetings and get involved. But before then, I didn't know all the people on county council. I knew some. I knew my rep, and I knew some more reps, but I didn't know them all, and I really wasn't paying close attention to the county level. I was just paying more close attention to my town and community. If that makes sense. But your county rep, you're in the city, it'll be your city rep, but then you're also affected by the county. So there's a lot of things that affect you, and the local level is the way to stay aware. So communication is huge, and we got to figure out a better way to communicate the issues as they're going on. That's good. I think the more we have involved, the better. And just paying attention to what's going on. Being honest, we have issues in our own party, especially in the state legislature. You're seeing some things going on right now. We've got a super majority, but we can't get anything conservative passed there. So we've got some issues there to work on. But we got to start at our level first. We got to be active where we live first. Sure, absolutely. First of all, thank you for voting me in as your next county council person for District 18. I don't know that I've gotten an opportunity to say that over the airways, but I really appreciate the trust put in me. And I ran on transparency and doing an audit, and stopping some of the overdevelopment and stopping the taxes, and that rang clear to people, and I appreciate them trusting me to work on that for them, and I wanted to give them their voice back where somebody would listen, and I definitely listened to the issues, and but I just appreciate the opportunity to run, and I consider it a privilege to represent my district, and I also consider it a privilege and an honor to realize that my vote does not just impact my district, it impacts all of Greenville County, and I know that. So I appreciate the people throughout the county that have come up to me and talked to me and let me know how they feel about things, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I just appreciate the opportunity. So we'll see what happens, and you know, here we're gonna have our first meeting January 7th, and we'll see how that goes. Absolutely. And Mason, it was great meeting you the other night, and thank you for your opportunity to speak to everybody this evening, and hope to talk to you more and wish you the best in what you're doing. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mason, and you too. You have a great Christmas. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
And that concludes our show for this evening. If you have not already, feel free to click like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for further updates, and also follow our Facebook page as well. So as you can see, there was some technical difficulties during the interview with Miss Long, but pretty much the part that was filtered out, it was mainly just going into depth about reorg and the plans and hopes for them. So that's really all of that it was. And next week, we'll have Representative Neil Collins on our show, and he's going to be sharing some things that are currently happening in session and plans also for 2025. So thank you again for all of you watching. Night to all, and God bless America. Thank you.